since they've been gone, I've honestly felt like a huge part of me has died. Like literally I have no purpose anymore. They were my joy. They were my everything. I look forward to seeing them. That was what I lived for. And then all of a sudden they were gone.
So Britney Spears said, screw that interview, I'm going to speak for myself. And lately she's been posting a ton of little voice memos onto her social medias, whether it's on YouTube or on Instagram. And in these voice memos, we can hear Britney speak clearly, coherently about what she's gone through and her relationship with her children. So let's go ahead and react to some of her latest posts. I did actually pull this from another channel, so I will link them below, but let's go ahead and react to what she has to say.
So yes, I do basically communication with horses. It's called quarantine therapy. But literally after like 45 minutes, you know, you're talking to a horse. But it honestly is a different reflection. I feel like my reflection with people is not very clear. And I think...
Okay, so sorry to start off so abruptly, but Britney is talking about her healing process and the fact that she's been participating in like horse therapy, where she goes and she speaks to a horse about her problems, and just, I guess, she opens up to the horse because she can't really trust any person after everything she's gone through.
It's almost like I need to break through a wall or make contact. And I know it's an old story, but the psychological damage and not having real contact in that place, and, you know, 8 hours of just like communicating by just sitting in a chair and their big smiles and asking me questions and studying me. It's just like, I couldn't come out of my seat, and I wanted to get the out of there. I mean, Jesus Christ.
So she's talking about the facility she was sent to against her will, which I want to remind you guys that I almost said Sam Lefty, but Sam Asghari, Britney's husband, was part of that effort to put Britney in that facility. I mean, he made social media posts about her going and how he was so proud that she made this choice to go, when in reality, she's sitting here telling us that she was forced against her will. So sometimes I do question his intentions, because he was helping, you know, the conservatorship push this narrative that she needed to go to this facility.
Christ, how come by law these people can just like do this and make me think, and not just, most people would say I'd like to be asked questions like that, but no, it was more of like, we're studying you, like I was a science lab, or like, you know. And I'm saying this because God knows I'm not perfect, and you know, I'm taking each day at a time, but...
So that was one audio clip, and honestly, I feel like these notes and these questions that they would ask Britney are efforts to collect information about her for her father, or for her team to use that against her, to corner her into doing whatever they want, which they were successful at that for 13 years.
Yeah, I used to have my kids at one point way more than Kevin. I mean, people don't remember that part because they always focus on the negative, but from when they were 6 to 9 years old, I had them 70% of the time. And of course, since they've been gone, I've honestly felt like a huge part of me has died. Like literally I have no purpose anymore. They were my joy. They were my everything. I look forward to seeing them. That was what I lived for. And then all of a sudden, they were gone.
And it's so sad to hear this, because her kids seem to be like, so like, I don't want to say like disrespectful, but they definitely are not on Britney's side. And
I was like, did my heart just stop beating? And honestly, I don't understand how it's so easy for them just to cut me off like that. I don't understand it. And okay, so I woke up this morning and I honestly feel like I just have a lot to say and I have a lot to share with. Yes, I do have a therapy guy that I talk to, but he's only available certain times of the week, and usually once a week. And I think in my head, it's really crucial for me to feel like I can share. And if it's the dumbest thing in the world that I do is share on my Instagram my thoughts, if it's dumb, so be it, because I honestly feel like it helps me.
I think it helps in a lot of different ways too, especially when, you know, her Instagram was controlled by someone else, and who knows if it's still being controlled by someone else, but it doesn't seem like that anymore. And it does seem like a safe space for her to go and post really whatever she wants.
Like 3 years ago, I used to do AA meetings. I was never able to miss any meetings. Most of the girls would choose their meetings, and sometimes they go and sometimes they wouldn't. But the way my dad made it for me, I had to go no matter what. I couldn't miss any meetings, and I couldn't even choose the meetings I went to. So it felt forced. So I haven't been back in a really long time. Number one, because when you're forced to do something, it's kind of like, you kind of don't want to go back there and do it, but I secretly did like going. I mean,
she's not an alcoholic, so it's like, if she's not an alcoholic, do you really belong there? But she shares that she did like the group, you know, sharing and probably being around other people for once, because she's around the same people who make her feel awful about herself.
Liked hearing the people's stories, but the problem was I had hours and hours of week where I just sat there in silence. They were always like, do you want to speak? Do you want to speak? And I never got up to speak because I perform and stuff, but my heart, I'm very introverted and shy. If you told me to get a microphone and get up and talk, I would literally probably crawl in a hole and cry. So I obviously have a lot going on in my brain of just like being in a recluse and being shy and not being able to open up. So this morning I woke up and honestly, I just had...
That's so interesting to hear, because you think about Britney Spears and like Vegas and these big performances and these tours, but like she's shy. And I guess when it comes to herself and what she's gone through, she's still trying to accept it and figure out how this ever happened in the first place. So talking about it probably is really triggering.
I just had a couple of things I wanted to say. So I'm showing two pictures right now. I'm reflecting back, probably this is a month ago, at me in my gym in my garage. I literally have to force myself to get the hell out of my head and breathe and literally look at my hands, close them together and look up and say, okay, am I praying right now? And it's like my hands just kind of do it for me. I don't even have to think about it. I'm like, what am I doing? Are my hands trying to tell me something? And my husband believes in universal power. There's a higher power we can connect to. I was born Baptist and my mother is Catholic, and I've practiced Judaism when I was younger. I actually had a rabbi come and visit me a couple of times a month when I went through a huge breakup a really long time ago because I needed help spiritually. He'd visit me on tours and things, and it did really help me out. But when I got married, it all stopped. I had children, and my whole focus was on my children, of course. I loved it, though. They were my world, you know, my focus, my everything. I believed, honestly, the huge fact of just a miracle, the fact that a body and a woman could produce such a miracle, that in of itself was my belief. And you
can tell how much she loves her kids by the way that she's speaking about them. And that's what's really sad, because I think back to how her kids have been used as like bait against her. So it's like she really loves these kids and they have been weaponized against her, really. So these are some clips, I believe, that are new, and she's currently in Maui. So she's like on vacation, and she was actually spotted. So we do know she's in Maui, and I saw a video of like Sam Asghari like filming her on the beach. So I'm glad that she's out doing some things for herself.
So I just crashed my car. Oops. I really did it this time.
So there are the recordings, and we saw her at the beach in Maui, and I saw like a few comments of people like talking about how she was doing well and she was hanging out there with Sam and people like that. But when it comes to those voice notes, I mean, some of the takeaways are that she like clearly still loves her kids, even though she's prepared to cut them off for how they're acting. And it seems like she's currently working on healing, whether it's talking to that therapist once a week, talking to her Instagram followers, talking to the horses. So I think Britney is doing well, but I like feel really bad for her, because it's like she's finally free. She's finally doing whatever she wants to do in her life, and she's got no family, no one to enjoy it with. Her friends were cut off. Her family was cut off. Her kids aren't talking to her. So it's just like her and Sam, which I think like when it comes to her having a baby, I feel like that almost gives her like more motivation to go and have a child, because like she doesn't have family that that she could trust, no one. And even her cousin, like Allison Sims, I believe, like she's been out of the picture for some time, and some of her best friends that we talked about. So I really hope that Britney can find some like peace within that, because like I don't know if her family is ever gonna like actually turn around. Doesn't seem so in my opinion, but I do believe that she deserves like, better than this. So I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about these voice notes? Do you want me to continue talking about these when they come out? Because I feel like this is what's really important, because we're hearing directly from her. And prior to these voice notes, the only time we had heard from her was when she spoke to the judge back in June of last year. So I think these are monumental, and I'm going to continue watching them. So comment below what you guys think, and I'll see you in a new video soon. Bye guys.